Drivers and marshals getting ready. We get the green flags and we're off and away on the 2 formation laps. So we get a warm-up lap and then a formation lap. Exploratory round the circuit as the drivers get themselves ready to go. So it's going to be Nathan Anthony Aria from Wadapong Yamchan, Toby Gale, Sidikat Solomon Kokesem, Ananton Tanganachai, and Leonardo Mori, then Dominic Setyavan, Travis Teo, Kian Shah, Chanoknan Veratacha, Mika Slabat, Shamol Zwan, Panya Yamchan, Sra Anoras, Paco Miguel Sarmiento, Sun Yang, and then Jenny Bibanet, Aidan Forbes, Thomas George, and Didi Tse. So the contenders are getting themselves around the circuit for the warm-up lap. There is a formation lap after this one, of course. 12 laps of the course in X30 Senior for the heats. And it's going to be tough for the X30 Seniors, of course, because they've got 3 qualifying heats to do, as opposed to all the other classes that have 2 to do. So after a short delay, the drivers are managing to get themselves back up to pace. And for Heat A versus B, we're definitely going to be in for an exciting run. The formation lap board is shown. They've had the warm-up lap, now the formation lap. So this is where the drivers will get into their 2 tram lines. They've got to make sure that they're all in their correct starting positions before the red line, before the final hairpin, and then they can come through. They are not allowed to accelerate until the yellow line, which is on this circuit located just after row 6 of the starting grid. So it's almost halfway down the grid hatchings. And if we are judged to have a decent start, we are going to go straight away with racing. But of course, for the pole position man, Nathan Anthony Aria, it's big pressure time. He's never been on pole position in Senior X30 before. So there's definitely a lot resting on his shoulders. And he's going to have a man who's never started on the front row of the grid in Senior X30 in Infinity IAME Series Asia before. Wadapong Yamchan. So how is this going to fare going into the first couple of corners? We will find out as the field is backed up. It's a little bit later than usual, but then obviously Nathan Aria still getting used to life at the front, but it looks like we are going to be gridded up quite nicely under the watchful gaze of our race director, Martin Bean. We come off the final turn. We're in the 2 tram lines. Are we going to get a clean start for racing? Yes, we do. Off to the first corner comes Toby Gale, trying to get up the inside line of Wadapong Yamchan, and the Biralat slices through in a second place. Already on the attack of Nathan Aria, who slides slightly wide, and that's going to give momentum to the Biralat behind. Gale is already trying to cover his bases with Yamchan behind him, about to lose the place to the Tony Kart on his tail. Already very aggressive racing into that first couple of corners then, as the drivers try and work their way through. Couple of drivers sliding wide at the S's, and as they come on to the Mickey Mouse section for the first time, it is still the lead for Nathan Aria in front of Yamchan. And the drivers try desperately to get through without too much contact. They'll slide through the hairpin, then down the back straight that leads to the left-hander. The penultimate turn, it's a very different layout compared to last week. But Aria has the advantage as their green flags all the way on this first lap. Aria has the lead. Gale is second, third is Yamchan, and fourth is the 229 of Cinnamon Kokesem. So Sidiket Cinnamon Kokesem, fourth place on the CRG as they come through at the end of the lap. It's Aria, Gale, Yamchan, Cinnamon Kokesem, Tanganachai, and Kian Shah. Good start from the Indian, who has worked his way into P6 in front of Mika Slabat. So difficult start for several in the field. Teo is 8th, Mori is 9th, Vidatacha is 10th, and then the Komodo Dragon himself, Dominic Setyavan, in front of Anoras and Didi Tse. What a great start for the Thai, as she has worked her way to 13th in front of Panya Yamchan. Ironically, all 3 ladies are in the field for this one. So all 3 of the female drivers competing against each other in this first heat. Didi Tse, Panya Yamchan, and Jenny Bibanet, all from Thailand. And all very keen to make an impression in this first heat of the weekend, as Yamchan is already under pressure from Cinnamon Kokesem. So the Thais are going to battle. It's just like it was 2 weeks ago. Yamchan, Cinnamon Kokesem, and Tanganachai are going to be battling over third place as Toby Gale just runs in formation behind Nathan Aria. Always he'll be thinking about the title. And this is the game plan working to perfection for Toby Gale. Running behind Aria is a very comfortable place for him to be. He'll be wanting to think about the bigger picture, and second place will be a great way to start the campaign. Especially with the man who was ahead of him on the grid behind him now. Yamchan falling into the clutches of Cinnamon Kokesem and Tanganachai. So Ananton Tanganachai in 5th place on the Tony Kart, trying to close up on Sidiket Cinnamon Kokesem in the CRG. And then it's Wadapong Yamchan in 3rd place on the blue and lime yellow of Wadapong Yamchan, Putter, as he is known to his friends, family and fans. But Nathan Arya just doing what he needs to do up front, keeping it nice and tidy. Yamchan, Cinnamon Kokasem and Tananachai still running third, fourth, fifth. Then Kian Shah, great start for the Indian in P6. The 15-year-old from Mumbai doing a great job at the moment as he continues his craft in the senior category. On the inside, that looks like a move from Tananachai, sorry, has got the move on Cinnamon Kokasem. And so he's up to fourth position. Good run on the CRG. And so that's Tananachai into P4. Now he's going to try and close up on Yamchan. So Arya, Gale, Yamchan, Tanganachai and Cinnamon Kokasem. The CRG driver will want to get back into fourth position as soon as possible. Toby Gale just driving a very patient and measured race behind the leader, Nathan Arya. No big issues between the leaders. And Kian Shah is now starting to close up on the battle for fourth place between Tanganachai and Cinnamon Kokasem. This is exactly what the 15-year-old from Mumbai wanted, as the Biralat driver closing in on the gang in front. Then Slabbert, Teo, who's holding station in front of the 201. That's Vidatacha. And then Dominic Setyevan. So Arya and Gale. Turn one. Much better corner, a little bit slower this week than it was 2 weeks ago, because it's not a flat-out run from turn one to the Mickey Mouse section. This time they turn back on themselves and use part of the infield section to then rejoin the Mickey Mouse section here. So it's a very different layout compared to 2 weeks ago. Keeps the variation favourable. It's much easier to get this Mickey Mouse section set up right on the slower approach than it was 2 weeks ago. You've got that real balance and blend of variations of layout, which makes things trickier for the mechanics to set the karts up appropriately for each circuit. Okay, the road is going to be the same condition, but the way the behaviour and the characteristics of the kart changes in the corners from 1 week to the next is quite startling, actually. Tanganachai all over the back of Yamchan, as we've got Arya versus Gale. Keep it delicately balanced. That is very good work indeed. That's Presley who is guiding his driver, and up the inside comes Tanganachai. That puts him into third place in front of Yamchan. Good work so far, holding his nerve on the inside line. So Tanganachai into third place on the Tony kart. Yamchan's going to close up, and what that battle has done is it's brought Kian Shah and Travis Teo into the mix, as Mika Slabbert sadly has fallen now to 8th place. He's almost in the clutches of Dominic Setyevan and Vidatacha in 10th place. So Chanuknan Vidatacha for DT Motorsport on his CRG, looking like he's got a chance to move forward. But certainly the battles are still stable. Remember that there's 3 races on this set of tyres. You can't afford to be too daring. As up the inside, that's Travis Teo getting the run on Kian Shah. So that's P6 for the Malaysian. So Travis Teo puts the DRM power in. Good work so far, says Presley, leading his boy Nathan Arya out front. Then Gale, Tanganachai, Yamchan, Cinnamon Kokasem, Teo, Shah, Slabbert, Setyevan and Vidatacha. Then Leonardo Mori from Surat Honoras and Didi Tsur from Paco Miguel Sarmiento and Shao. Here's another chance for Yamchan, but he's in a very difficult position now, is Pata, in 4th position, because he's got Tanganachai on the Tony kart in front, and he's got the hard-charging CRG of Sirakat Cinnamon Kokasem behind him for Team GFPT. So this is going to be a very big test. He's got to be offensive and defensive at the same time, and hope that they don't lose too much ground to the parallel behind them of Travis Teo, the former king of Senior X30. And he's going to make his bid. That was a very audacious challenge there alongside the CRG from Teo. Cinnamon Kokasem is not going to play ball. He's going to hold his line, and Travis Teo is not going to get the overtake. So the aggressive stance from Teo as he tries again in turn 1 and then has to bail out of the overtake. They sweep through turn 2 and still not quite able to get the attack. And Cinnamon Kokasem now knows that Teo is going to be ruthless. What a move from Travis Teo. That was full 4-wheel drift into the apex, and he made it stick. It was a gamble, and that could hurt his tyre life, but that was a fantastic overtake nonetheless. And so Travis Teo makes the bid, and he's not the only one to get there, because Kian Shah has got through as well. That was a very painful first sector for Cinnamon Kokasem, who drops from P5 now down to P7. And it's not the only one who's going to try and make that bid, because it looks like Dominic Setyevan has managed to get ahead of Mika Slabbert. So they're going to battle as well. That's going to be Cinnamon Kokasem and the Komodo Dragon himself, Dominic Setyevan. trying to duel away to work his way back to a podium place. And that's the lead change. Toby Gale has got ahead of Nathan Aria. I missed that completely. We were so busy focusing on the battle further back, but Toby Gale has made the move on Nathan Aria and got through to take the lead. He's timed it to perfection. 8 laps completed and 4 to go. And this is so characteristic of Toby Gale. He only ever pushes as hard as he has to. He doesn't overexert. He never takes too big a risk. He never gambles. He knows how to methodically plan his race, lap by lap, apex by apex. And he always takes the maximum out of what he needs because, of course, he's got a second and third heat to come later today. But he never takes his move until he knows it's absolutely 100% on. And that will certainly please the team at Birolart Asia on the sidelines. Gale getting into the lead. Meanwhile, third place, that is Tangnanachai, getting well clear now of Yamchan and Teo. Travis Teo looking to try and get past Wadapong Yamchan. So Gale leads Aria, who now has the toe, of course, for the Birolart. Tangnanachai, Yamchan, Teo, Sharp, and Senamon Kukasen from Setyavon, Slabbert, and Vidatacha. 3 to go. Travis Teo looking to get the move on the inside the same way on Yamchan, and it works. He actually puts Potter slightly wide in the braking zone. Potter is going to try and bounce back. Retaliation! Superb from the tie. These two having a terrific battle, and Teo's going to try and come back at him through the Mickey Mouse section. Potter will not let him have it, and they collide, and up on the curb comes Kian Shah, and he splits them. Travis Teo gets through, Potter is held back, and Kian Shah fights his way into 5th position. Potter will not be happy. It's already getting aggressive in the first heat of the weekend. So Potter manages to sustain that, but there was definite contact between the two drivers, and there could be an investigation into it. But Gale leads the way from Aria. Tangnanachai third and slipping up the inside. That is the move from Setyavon. He gets the dive on Senamon Kukasev and moves up into P7. So that's going to charge him after Shah and Yamchan. A bid for the top 5 as Kian Shah checks over his shoulder. And Yamchan is still there looking for a bid to get through. A side-by-side further back, that is Mika Slabbert going wheel to wheel with Chanuknan Vidatacha. And Vidatacha's got through. So that's unfortunate for the Malaysian, who was rather hoping to keep a hold of that. And tucking up behind is his countryman, Leonardo Mori. So still a good battle all the way through, with a lap and a half still to go in this first heat of 3. For Group A versus Group B, it's going to go the way of Toby Gale. He's managed to extend his gap over Nathan Aria to about 5 kart lengths on the straight. And so as he goes into the last lap, it's looking so good for Gale. Here he is. Checks over his shoulder, leads the way to Aria. Final lap of the opening heat of the weekend. Then Tangnanachai, Teo, Shah, Yamchan, Setyavon, Senamon Kokasem, Vidatacha and Slabbert. So far, only one retirement from this race, and that sadly is Aidan Forbes, who has not been able to complete the full distance. He has completed the full distance, but he's down at the tail of the field about 8 seconds back from Bibinet and George, so he must have had an incident to drop him further back. But Gale is absolutely in his rhythm. He's got 2 more qualifying heats to come before the end of the day, so he only has to look after his tyres for the remainder of this heat. He extends the gap a little to Nathan Aria, and he secures his position. Aria driving very maturely for a new boy to Senior X30, and that's the way it's going to finish. It's going to be victory for Toby Gale. He opens his account with a W. Victory for Toby Gale on home soil. Aria in 2nd place. 3rd place for Tangnanachai. And that will do very nicely indeed for those 3. 4th is Teo, 5th is Shah, 6th is a rather disgruntled Potter Yamchan. And then Setyavon, Senamon Kokasem, Vidatacha, and Leonardo Mori, who just manages to pit Mika Slabbert to the top 10 at the end of the race. Shomo Chuan, Paco Sarmiento, Didi Tse, Sra Onuras, Banya Yamchan, Sun Yang, Jenny Bibinet, Thomas George, and Aidan Forbes. So a very solid start to the week then for the Birolart Asia driver and the championship leader, Toby Gale. And that was a very calculated race drive. Never had to push himself too far, and certainly managed to unlock the maximum potential from the Birolart. So that puts him into a neat position right from the outset. He's going to have a very solid time of it as they run in position. But it's going to be an exciting run for the drivers in the 2nd Senior X30 qualifying heat. We certainly know now what everybody's made of in Senior X30, and after that little bit of a delay, tensions were obviously running sky high immediately. But very cool to see Toby Gale come through in 5-star. The 5-minute board immediately goes up. We're trying already to get back on schedule. Very good work indeed from the officials to make sure that we're ready to go to try and save some of the time. Let's have a quick word with the former world champion, Pedro Hiltbrand, who's with Birla Asia this weekend.